Hi, my name's Daniel, and today I'm going to be talking to you about end-user development of experience sampling smartphone apps, recommendations and requirements. So that's quite a long title. There's a lot going on. So first, what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about what experience sampling is, then what end-user development is, how those two tie together, and then finally how that links to the stuff that we actually contributed in the paper, the recommendations and requirements for tools that do this. So the experience sampling method is basically the repeated remote assessment of people in their everyday lives. So the difference between that and traditional assessment is that rather than bringing people into the lab and asking them how they felt or what they were doing at 2 p.m. yesterday or 5 p.m. a few days ago, we're actually asking them in the moment. We're asking them, what are you doing? How are you feeling at this particular point in time? And so that captures life as it's lived. And so the old way of doing this was with paper diaries. But nowadays we use smartphone apps because people carry their smartphones with them wherever they go. And so they can answer questions on how they're feeling or what they're doing at that time without being encumbered with a paper diary. End-user development are the methods, techniques, tools, basically the field of computer science and human-computer interaction that deals with allowing people with no programming experience to create and tailor their own software. The idea behind this is the software end users greatly outnumber software developers, and that the end users are those that know their needs of their software best. And so end-user development of experience sampling apps, there are tools available, both research tools and commercial tools, and our own tool, Jeeves, that we talk about and use as a prototype for interviews and case studies in this paper. But of all the research and commercial tools, there was only one publication that described an in situ evaluation. And so our big question was what factors actually influence the adoption of technology for researchers and clinicians. So why do they want to actually use this kind of software? Do they want to use it? And what are the benefits and barriers? And so we try to answer this question with interviews, observations, and case studies, which I'll briefly take you through just now. Interviews, we asked 5 psychology researchers and 8 clinicians, and we asked them things about their current practices, current working practices, their current use of technology in their research or practice. And we also showed them Jeeves and what Jeeves was meant to do as an end user development tool for experience sampling, and asked them for preliminary feedback on that to say whether or not they thought it would help them and what the challenges would be of using it in their practice. We also did some observation at a chronic disease management clinic where we observed 2 clinics, a diabetes clinic and a hypertension clinic, with 3 patients each that came in for their annual reviews. And during these annual reviews, things like their sort of self-management plans were discussed. And so in doing this observation, we sort of saw some of the challenges that these people have in self-monitoring and looking after their own health. In terms of case studies, we had 3 research groups use Jeeves, one of which tracked sort of levels of excitement during a live basketball game. So this was just over the course of 90 minutes. We had another group of researchers track feelings of aggression during the menstrual cycle. So this was using Jeeves over a longer period of time. And at the moment, we've got a group of researchers using it to track the diet and the lifestyle habits of nurses as they go about with fluctuating shift changes, like going from day shift to night shift and back again. Putting it all together, there were 3 sort of main factors that came out of this: time saving, complexity, and participant burden. So time saving is obviously critical to both researchers and clinicians. So some of the design recommendations for that are integration with existing technology or having shared repositories where people can build upon each other's work. Complexity is also a major barrier. People don't want to have to learn software that's going to take them ages to figure out. So collaborative workspaces where more experienced researchers and practitioners can do the bulk of the work and other people can add on bits as they see fit. And sort of minimizing the burden, not just for the researchers and clinicians, but also for their participants and patients. So different design recommendations for that were testing facilities for apps to ensure that they function correctly and don't cause any undue burden or harm to your participants or patients. So in the paper, we had factors and design recommendations, which I've put in this paper. I don't have time to talk about these. We've only got 40 seconds left. But I promised they would have been interesting. And if you want to look at them, you can read about them in the paper. And so in terms of future work, basically to implement the stuff in that table, because of the 11 tools that we surveyed previously, basically nobody else had managed to fulfill these sort of 7 design recommendations. This is illustrated in another table, which I also don't really have any time to describe, but please do go and have a look at it. I would really appreciate it. And so thank you very much, and we'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you.